this is, okay?
Okay.
Here we go.
This was written today, January 17, 2023. And there is Alana Zabel. It was an amazing, fun, vibrant summer in 1992. I was living in a three-leveled house off a campus from the University of Buffalo with five of my Chi Omega sorority sisters. Mine was the front room, a converted patio. The original entrance door was sealed shut and drywalled over so you wouldn't know that from the inside. Our partying continued into September, which constant late nights out at the bars until they closed at 4 a.m., followed by sleeping in every weekend. One Thursday evening, we all went to the Steer, a local bar within walking distance of our house.
Okay, so that would be like the corner club, right? And I want
Yeah.
to tell everybody in the chat, the war is over. Our boys bombed 3 bases of nuclear sites. They're back home. They kicked ass. It's over.
Around 10 p.m., I offered to walk my friend home, and she left early. She turned to me, rolled her eyes, and said, "Elena, I'm from New York. If something were going to happen to me, it would have happened to me by now." Regardless, I grabbed a friend and we trailed 50 steps behind her. Then I saw a man standing with a bicycle across the street from our house watching us. I didn't think any more about it and went back to the Steer. The next night, we all went out again. We drove to downtown Buffalo, where we sludged Jägermeister, laughed, and listened to music before deciding to go to a fraternity party not far from our home. The same housemate.
So what does that sound like to you, Nina? If we're corroborating this with the Idaho 4, what I just read, what does that sound to you
I don't know.
in
I'm sort of still
comparison?
kind of in shock because I think I missed some big major world event while I was doing research on Coburger.
Yeah, we went and bombed Iran, 3
Wow.
nuclear site bases, and our boys got them, tore them up, flew out. They're back home.
Wow. So all that happened and I was still looking at the DoorDash driver.
Yeah,
Wow. I may
I
need
could
to I might need to lessen up on my research a little bit.
just a little bit. Dolphin, I never cared for Jaeger. Oh my God, I like the car bomb, but I could not do Jaeger by itself. The nastiest stuff. But what do you think about this, Nina? They were going to a party, uh, a fraternity party, all of them together. So it's almost identical, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I mean, it was like somebody just followed the whole thing of what happened because this one's like what 15 years ago.
It was in '93, I believe.
Yeah. So what? Yeah, it's more than 15 years ago.
Yeah, I wish it was 15 years ago.
Yeah. I mean,
Who left early that
yeah,
night
it's like
before
they just
decided
copied
to
it.
skip the party.
Go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
said
I'm
it's just
sorry.
like they copied it.
Yeah, I mean that tells you that college life is not as nefarious as people have made it out to be. People do this almost every freaking weekend on a college campus.
Well, yeah.
Since we had only brought one set of keys, she agreed to let us in when we each arrived home. We were getting increasingly hammered, Jägermeister mixed with beer. So not long after getting to the party, Christian left. I stayed a little while longer, somehow finding a second wind. Around 1:30, Peggy and I decided we would go to PJ Bottoms, another local hotspot for UB college students. But we'd have to stop by home first, as my fake ID was in Christian's purse. The side entrance from the driveway had 3 options: downstairs, second level, or upstairs. Donna, who lived downstairs with Kristen, let me in while Peggy waited in the car. Kristen gave me my ID and we left. I never went up to the second level, the floor I lived on with Emily, Carrie, and my other housemate. After a couple of hours at PJ Bottoms, Peggy and I called it a night. At 3:30 a.m., she pulled into the driveway at our house to drop me off before waiting until I got inside safely. For 15 minutes, I rang the doorbell, kicked the door, and screamed my housemates' names. Yet, no one let me in. Peggy got out of the car and pointed to a bathroom window open on the second level. She laced her hands together and boosted me up through it. I noted the screen laying on the floor, so I put it back and locked the window. There was an odd smell and some wet towels in the sink, but I continued into the hallway. I saw my housemate's door cracked open and I called her name. But upon hearing some heavy breathing, I assumed she was with her boyfriend. I went down to the kitchen and let Peggy inside to confirm together that the house was safe. Peggy left and I went to my bedroom. About 15 minutes later, as I began to...
So, what do you think about that, Nina, so far?
I think it is very tragic because of the survivor's guilt and everything that this lady is probably still carrying with her.
So,
And I
this
mean,
one
you can't fault her. If I had a roommate and I heard heavy breathing from the bedroom, I would think she was in there with her boyfriend.
right. And for the chat, I love Flipper as well. I think we all love Flipper. Did you like Flipper as a kid?
No, I wanted to hunt him. I wanted to go fishing for him.
Whoa.
I'm joking.
Whoa. Whoa. Y'all going like Nina stuff. Y'all going like Nina stuff.
Who doesn't love Flipper?
Right, right. That is scary, right, Nina? I mean, you're hearing heavy breathing in the other room.
Wow. I mean, but I mean, just imagine though that and did you notice after that she said to make sure the house was safe.
Yeah.
So she leaves her roommate in the bedroom with her boyfriend because they're whatevering, and she goes to make sure the rest of the house is safe and goes to her room just to realize that she had left her roommate in there with a killer.
I mean, just think if Dylan would have done that. If Dylan would have walked down the hall, not realized that Brian was still in that room or had left. What if he was still in the room? You get what I'm saying?
Oh
Not,
yeah, yeah.
you know, that's just terrible. That's just terrible. Bullet says, I bet this beautiful lady must be having some tough times with the case. Yeah, exactly. And she's reached out to Dylan to potentially, want to talk to her or help her through all this stuff, Dylan and Bethany. But I don't know if there's been anything to come of that, but that's so nice of her to do that. Anything else before I started up, Nina?
Kill Flipper.
Oh my God.
doze off. I felt someone enter my room. I lifted and turned my head, but I didn't see anyone. Seconds later, I heard the front door shut and assumed that someone had come home. I then fell asleep. Around 9:30 a.m., Carrie came into my room asking why the heck the house smelled so bad. She asked me if I had vomited the night before. I brushed her off, remembered the Jägermeister, telling her I had not. She returned 10 minutes later, same thing with more insistence. Carrie, I didn't throw up last night. So she left again. The third time, Carrie said she couldn't wake our housemate. We both went into her room and found her laying on her back with her eyes closed.
They could not wake the roommate. Sound familiar, Nina? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I mean, what happened? Did they not see all the blood? Did they not call 911? Did they not act immediately? I mean, my gosh, I guess she's involved.
I guess they're involved, right?
Right. That's
Yeah.
that's the way it goes down, right?
Yeah.
Carrie took her pulse, and I took her feet and legs while screaming her name. She was not responding. I ran to the kitchen to call 911, reporting that my roommate had choked on her vomit. I then proceeded to make one of the most challenging phone calls of my life, letting her parents know something was wrong. When the paramedics arrived, I followed one as they approached the room and stepped backward, causing me to jump. Holy shit, look at all this blood.
So she didn't realize the blood was anywhere in the room until the paramedic came in. She must be involved, right, Nina?
Absolutely, 100%. So don't feel sorry for her. Don't give her any grace.
She called 911 afterwards. How long did she wait? Were they involved in it? Did they rehearse that 911 call? Wow.
But I do have something to say. They're talking about moose.
Moose knuckles?
Mooses, they be big creatures.
I was thinking about moose knuckles. My bad. Also, the blood, when it starts drying down, turns a dark brown red, so you could easily mistake it for vomiting while disassociating. Very good thought. Moose knuckles. You know what a moose knuckle is? Yeah, that's crazy. She just disassociated from the scene. Do you know what that is, Nina?
Sorry, I'm disassociating from that.
You probably do know what a moose knuckle is.
Instantly filled with red. The mattress was 3/4 soaked with blood. The liquid I saw on her hair and on her face turned red. The walls were streaked with red. Everything changed. My mind began racing as to who, what, how, faster than I could process the thoughts, compounded with emotion never felt before. All of my protective walls disintegrated, and fear overtook every aspect of my being. We were told that my housemate only had another 20 to 30 minutes left to live, which thankfully she did. It took several years for a suspect to be named, and it was the very first conviction in Eric County with DNA evidence as the primary link to the perpetrator. However, before that relief and closure, I spent the first year utterly tortured.
Hey, can you
A
stop that for a
homicide
minute?
detective working on the investigation.
Is moose knuckles the same as camel toe?
Yes.
Okay. All right, you can continue. Yeah. Okay. Gage has lost it.
Well, then we're talking about mooses.
Look, Rondi
Became
still
a
says, "Come
close
on, what
and
is it?"
frequent contact. When he first arrived at the house the day of the attack to ask me questions, he sat me down and said, "Listen," while he closed his eyes. "Listen, and the scene will talk to you. It will tell you what happened." I closed my eyes and sat there, almost meditating with this detective. My sorority sisters nicknamed me Holmes because I couldn't move on until I knew who had done this. I began my own investigations, likely to the annoyance of the officers assigned to the case, who I called with my hunches and suspicions. I couldn't sleep because every time I closed my eyes, I felt someone chasing me in the bathroom. As I stared,
You want to comment on that, Nina? She couldn't sleep.
Oh, golly, I'm sorry. I was busy telling Rondi what moose knuckles are. Sorry.
It's okay. She said when she'd fall asleep, she'd have dreams of somebody chasing her into the bathroom.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, really, if you think about it, she's probably not telling how horrible of a nightmare it probably really was.
Hmm. I mean, I can't imagine. Every time you go to sleep, you're reliving, even if it's a dream. Can you
Oh,
imagine
yeah.
Dylan? How many times Dylan relived that night since it happened, and how much she's gonna have to relive it after the trial again?
Yeah. Because, see, to me, well, I feel like that when she ran across the living room floor, she saw Xana in her peripheral vision and ran downstairs. And then
Hmm.
when it talks about they went upstairs with Ethan and them, that she burst out into tears. And I think that's when she realized, my God, Xana hadn't moved in 8 hours.
And just like this lady's saying, they went in, checked her pulse, they were screaming her name, nothing,
Right.
nothing. They still didn't realize there was blood everywhere until the paramedics came in. And then all of a sudden, it's almost like the light switch went from fight or flight, and all of a sudden, everything started clearing up.
And see, I think that's what happened with Dylan.
Yeah,
I mean, I think when she saw that Xana hadn't moved from 4:30 in the morning till noon, I think that light bulb went off and it was like, oh heck, what's really going on?
right, right. We have a good chat, you know that?
Oh yeah,
You
we
can
sure
talk
do.
moose. You can talk moose knuckles. They take it in stride. Just laugh about it. Listening to the article, man, they're some multitaskers. I tell
Yeah,
you,
they're
great job,
talented
guys.
though because they can talk moose knuckles and do true crime.
Yeah, exactly. This lady, I feel so bad for her. Like, I can't imagine. I cannot imagine. She said they nicknamed her home because I couldn't move on until I knew who had done it, like Sherlock Holmes. She began her own investigation.
Stepped inside the window. The what ifs were shredding my sanity, as well as the guilt for not calling 911 sooner. To think that I slept yards away while she lay unconscious from being beaten unspeakably brutally.
See, nobody speaks about that. Nobody speaks about that guilt that either Bethany or Dylan could possibly have about not calling 911 sooner. Whether would have made any difference whatsoever, we know now that it probably wouldn't have. But can you imagine feeling guilt not calling 911? What's your thought, Nina?
Well, I mean, I was just going to say that what's sad is like I've made two videos about survivor's guilt. Because even I mean, biggest question is, the worst kind of guilt is guilt that does not belong to you,
Right,
guilt that
right,
you put on yourself,
right.
because that's guilt that nobody else can help you with because nobody gave it to you, you gave it to yourself.
True. And
And
kind of like that.
that's the
Go
reason
ahead.
I've talked about with Steve G being abrupt. And so, you know, nobody, even though there's nothing he could have done, he knew nothing about it. There's still that responsibility of being a daddy that protects his little girl.
Right.
And
And you
so
know, the fact that, I mean, think about Bethany. She doesn't get mentioned a lot in any of this. She was closest to Maddie than Dylan was. Dylan was, I guess, closer to Kaylee, right? Or was Bethany
no,
closer to Kaylee? I can't remember.
I mean, in all honesty, Kaylee was pretty much an outsider,
Yeah.
but they still accepted her.
Right, right. That's true. That's true. Thank you for that, Sirius. We talk all kinds of stuff in here. You grow up fast.
One thing that is important to share is the uncertainty over what happened is absolute mental torture for someone who has experienced a situation like this. That is why I've been so adamant about supporting the surviving housemates in the Idaho murders case. The similarities to what happened to me are jarring. From environment to timing to relationships to ages. We all went out the night before, both the local fraternity party and local stomping ground bar for college students. Both incidents occurred between 3 and 4 a.m. and both found the main suspects based on DNA left at the scene of the crimes. Our attacker was a rapist who was stalking us, while the Idaho suspect is also said to have stalked his victims, who didn't know who he was. While I personally didn't see our attacker as one of the surviving Idaho housemates did, I'm sure that both she and her other roommates are devastated just the same. I remember feeling overwhelmingly guilt and paramount fear that I had done something wrong. I would also imagine that the what ifs are overpowering their minds as well, thinking, what if I was in the kitchen getting a glass of water when he entered? And so on, as the mind works to process this ungodly and horrific experience. I compartmentalized what happened, made myself adapt to situations where I felt unsafe. I never wanted to identify as a victim, so I didn't tell many people in my life about it. Yet, I eventually changed my life direction, finding a path, or perhaps it found me, as a yoga instructor, author, and sound healer, as a means to work out something I couldn't fully grasp. Reliving this 30 years later hasn't been easy, as I continue to connect the dots. My advice to those surviving housemates and to anyone who has experienced a trauma like this is to take time to process their feelings by talking about them in safe environments with trusted people. Write about it, create artwork about it, dance it out, cry, scream, dedicate some of your creativity to the victims, to metaphorically keep their candles lit. We simply cannot let evil win by making us fearful, diminished, or unwell for the rest of our precious lives.
And see, that's something that is that's a strong statement right there. We cannot let evil win or keep us scared. We can't.
But
I mean,
that's you always
go
have to
ahead.
bring, in your darkest times, you always try to bring it to light.
Right. I mean, at one particular point, this case has to become from the darkness to the light of healing because there is going to be an outcome. There's going to be an outcome, one way or the other. Whether the individual is guilty, whether the individual is innocent, the healing is going to begin. Whether the families agree with the outcome or whether they don't, whether, we agree with the outcome or whether we don't, the case is going to end. It's going to be over for people. You know what I mean? And that is the most important thing. Don't you agree?
I totally 100% agree because, no matter what golly, I just hope whatever the outcome it is a sure thing to where you can't say, well, I don't really know if that's the way it should have gone or what this or that or I don't agree with that. I hope that it is so definite that I can come back and say, damn, he really was innocent. Or
And
dang, he really was
yeah.
guilty.
I mean, it's going to lay on the shoulders of those 12 jurors. They have a hard job to do. 12 randomly picked people out of the community to come in and hear testimony on what supposedly happened, the crime, the evidence, all the information on both sides, and then to decide someone's fate. They can't be emotionally attached. They cannot be fixated on the death penalty because I'm pretty certain that they're not going to have anybody on that jury other than probably two or three that are death penalty opposed, if any. You know what I mean?
Right.
Do you agree with that, or do you think they're not going to have any death penalty
Well, I
project?
think that if I'm not mistaken, it has to be a death penalty jury, don't it? I mean, isn't there like I don't think you can be in. I don't think you can be opposed to it to be on that jury.
That's what I was thinking too, but I'm not certain if they've changed that over time. You know what I mean?
Right.
So let's continue on with this.
Nothing can destroy love, ever.
Remarkably similar to Dylan as I look at the parallels. You were also 19 years old. You were also living in a house with 5 sorority sisters. What did you think when you heard about this case? Could you put yourself in Dylan's shoes?
Right away. And the more that evidence came out and the story came out, it just became chillingly eerie how similar it was.
Did the circumstance that I just sort of outlined make sense to you, given that you heard some unusual noise and chalked it up to, it's just the roommates. This is a normal house in a normal town in a normal life. And there's Dylan seeing a guy walk through the house. Maybe it was the DoorDash driver. I mean, yuck, but murder?
A little bit. Also, I was boosted up through a window that the attacker had broken in. So,
So she found her roommate 6 hours later. Found her badly hurt roommate 6 hours later. Can you imagine if 1993 social media would have been around? Do you think she would have been attacked as bad as Dylan?
Definitely.
Yeah. Look at those 1993 hairdos.
Because we're very unforgiving people.
Exactly.
Wasn't that I was home when he attacked and when he broke in. But so there are similarities. I didn't see the attacker. I just know that when I found my housemate the next morning, I didn't see any blood in the room. All I saw was liquid. I was trying to find a pulse and shake her. And when I called 911 just saying that my housemate choked on her vomit and I can't wake her up and she's unconscious. When the paramedics arrived.
So she's using the same wording, Nina. Do you see anything in correlation to what happened at 1122 with this story?
Yeah, I mean, the only difference in her story and Dylan and Bethany's is you basically have her story because you didn't have social media taking over their story. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like social media is trying to rewrite what their story is instead of allowing them to tell their story.
Right. And this lady is telling her story from her perspective, It's like 6 hours later, she believes she's unconscious. She's not qualified to sit there and say, she's having this problem or she's having that problem. It's a lot easier to say they're unconscious, they're not waking up. Is that not true?
100%.
I was standing behind a paramedic and he announced, holy, look at all the blood. And in that second that he said blood, the whole entire room filled. So I know that the mind does very things when it is trying to keep you safe and keep you functioning and keep you in fight or flight, because that is the mechanism of the mind. So that is why I really empathize with what Dylan went through. We don't know the story. We don't know her history.
Yeah, explain that a little more for me. What happened that morning when you woke up? I'm just assuming you think it's a normal morning. You're knocking on your roommate's door. Take me from there.
Well, I came in through the window and the screen was out, so that was a little bizarre. And I went to my housemates, the only other housemate that came home that night. There was 4 of us on that floor and 2 didn't come home that night, so I was the only one that came home. I went to her door, which was ajar, and I heard heavy breathing. And so I thought, oh, okay, I called her name. She didn't respond. So I just went to bed. And my room was in the front of the house. It was a converted old Buffalo home, which used to be the patio. So since this attacker came through the window, he assumed that was the exit. I'm in bed, just about to go to sleep. very intoxicated, and someone walks into my room, and I lift up my head, and no one was there. And 10 seconds later, the front door closed. Now, no one came home, so we know that's when he left. So that fear and that panic to this day stirs me. I didn't sleep really.
Tell me a little bit about what you're thinking right now, Nina, listening to this lady's story.
Well, I mean, you can tell that she still has the way that she is telling it is like she's still back there. I mean, that it still has the same effect if it had happened yesterday.
So let me get this straight. The killer came into her room and was standing there, and she woke up,
Yes.
and then he was gone.
Yes.
Wow. Is that not something?
But that's what I'm saying is, you can tell by her voice and her actions that it still affects her just like it did back in 93.
This is an awful story. I mean, and how many stories are just like this?
Yep.
Just because we don't hear about them don't mean that they don't happen, right?
Exactly. I mean, there's one, I don't know if you know about it, but the man and woman, they were being robbed and everything, and they like tied them up in the closet or whatever. They had their phones and it didn't even register to them to call 911.
No, I haven't heard that one.
Yeah.
For a year after this experience, because every time I closed my eyes, I saw someone chasing me, and the guilt, and oh, what if I had called 911 sooner? So when then the reality of what had happened the next day occurred, the pieces just start coming together. Investigators start coming in. You're trying to figure out what happened. So I can really empathize really a lot with Dylan.
If there was something that you could tell Dylan, and for that matter, Bethany Funk as well, because she was also there that next morning. If you could say something to those girls, what would you say?
What I would say is what you resist will persist. And I wish that I had dealt and processed this sooner back then. I've said this on a couple other shows that this was a different age. No one came to my rescue and offered me therapy. And there wasn't social media that blew up our attack, big as this is. So people are experiencing more concern. So I just moved on with my life, whether that's good or bad. And I became a strong person, and I chose to help people and serve. Now, re-experiencing this 30 years later, sure, there's a lot of pain. And I realized, wow, I wish I had processed it sooner, because I can connect the dots a little bit to things in my life that have occurred, probably because this was unprocessed. And that's how it works. So I encourage them to do the work, heal, take time, write, meditate, process this experience, make sense of it somehow emotionally and mentally, so that you can continue being a shining light in this life and honor your friends and help other people, because you have a reference point that most people will never have.
Elena, I only have 5 seconds left, but I just want to ask if you're going to make an effort to reach out to them at some point down the road when they're able to speak, to help them process, being that you've been through this.
I have sent a message, so they have my contact. If they need anything, I'm absolutely here, however I can help.
Well, I'm so thankful that you shared this tonight, and so clearly, you're a remarkable woman. Thank you so much for this. Really appreciate it. Thank you for. There is still one big unanswered question hanging over the Idaho murder case, and that is why. If Brian Kohberger really is the killer, why? Why did he do it? Right now, it appears there is only one person in the world who knows the answer, and Kohberger ain't talking. But there might be a way for the rest of us to retrace the steps that led him into that cold Moscow jail cell. A series of posts that were found online, some of them really disturbing, just might have been written by Kohberger when he was.
You know about these posts, right, Nina? I'm not going to play this because we've talked about it. But you know about those posts, correct?
Yes.
What are those posts called? Tapatalk or something like
Yes.
that?
The Tappa Talk. There's 101 of them.
So tell me a little bit about that. If the people in the chat don't know about the Tapatalk, what is that about?
Tappa Talk is it's a forum, just like, I'm not gonna say Facebook because anyway, it's a forum where you can discuss different things. And from 2009 to 2011, Koberger joined a group that did on the forum that was for visual snow.
Okay.
And he wrote some really intimate details on his life and talking about, that he had no empathy, that, he didn't feel anything, dissociation. I mean, just a whole lot of basically describing where he was during that time mentally and everything. And it
Okay.
really gives you some insight to who he is and who he was.
Okay. So that was during the time when you started researching on the ego depletion, right? Is that
Yes.
when you started researching on that? Okay.
Yeah. When I started researching him because of you, because you had to put that challenge out there to get to know him as a person, not a defendant. And
Well,
so that to me, that intrigued me because I was like, that's all I know of him is he's the defendant, you know? And unfortunately for me, when I do something, I go in like all 200% instead of just 100%.
right, right. I think
And
we all do that.
what I did was I read every one of his Tappa Talks. I researched anything and everything. Like I knew he was into Darwinism and Sigmund Freud, and he's a libertarian. So here I go researching. What does a libertarian? What do they stand for? What do they believe in? Darwinism. What kind of belief is that? And it was the only way I knew to sort of put it together with him as a person is you go by what he studies and what he believes.
Okay. And that's interesting that you did go down that route because I mean, when I did make that challenge, people weren't diving into him as who is Brian? You know what I mean? They were more
Right.
looking at it to, well, this is what we believe, or this is what we think, or this is what we feel, you know. And I did find that Jack in the Box bag. Um, I did. I mean, because that has always bugged me. I mean, because I've done a whole live on that Jack in the Box bag.
Right.
Um, I've never read the Tappa Talks, but I'm glad that you did. I
Oh
really
yeah.
am. I mean, I've read different portions of it. I've highlighted and presented different parts of it, but I've never really read them all.
Well, see, the Tappa Talk is where I found out about the Kaufman diet.
Okay.
Is because when he is talking in his Tappa Talks, he actually tries two other diets. One his uncle gave him, and he is just totally sold on it and everything, to where they actually accuse him of trying to be like a salesman. You know what I'm saying? And but he is so into the diet because that's where I learned about the candida overgrowth. Is
Okay.
and so anything that I've learned about him has been from him.
Right. And this we were talking about the Jack in the Box obviously earlier, and this one right here says it has a paper bag containing a food order from Jack in the Box is visible in the kitchen as investigators gather evidence in the scene of the murders. And I don't know if that's the bag or not. I'm not narrow minded enough to think that this was the only Jack in the Box order they ever ordered in their life in that household.
Right.
There had to be multitudes of orders, as we've been told. Dana liked to order DoorDash at any time of the night, any time of the day,
Right.
you know. So, you know, yeah, that's too bad the date and the time wasn't left on the bag. It probably is on the back of the bag, but I have this picture in my email. I just don't feel like going and chasing it. I bet a lot of you have this picture in your archives,
I think I have
but
like 5 copies of it.
you probably do. I know every time that I would do a presentation on this, I would ask Jeff to send me it, and he always did. So, I know I have that many. But another thing that people were fixated on was this this plant spilling the dirt. I mean, that's neither here nor there, really, is it? I'm sure the police moved this plant, spilled some dirt. They probably moved all this stuff from that table that was messy. There's a messy ass table. I don't know if y'all remember that table. Let me see if it shows
Is
us in
that the
this.
one where they put all the stuff on it?
Yes, all the bowls and all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they have it in this one, but it's in the that's always kind of been interesting to me. I mean, I've talked about it multitudes of times. Um, I personally do not believe that this is the Jack in the Box bag from the night of the murders. Y'all can believe um, it is, but I don't know. I don't know. What do y'all believe, chat? Do you believe that this is the Jack in the Box bag, or do you believe that it's an other Jack in the Box bag? Yeah, Jeff and I have talked about that plant. We've talked about a lot of damn things, and this is what we said is that the police that bumped the dirt and they moved things around from the sink to the table, or maybe it was from the table to the sink. Yes, look how pristine it is. So you believe it is the Jack in the Box bag? Okay.
I don't know. See, I think the reason that I've never thought it was is because of the nasty drink beside it.
And me thinking on the investigative stuff would not believe that they'd moved that from a crime scene area. If that was definitely and this is what I'm saying, I'm not being closed minded here, but if they found that Jack in the Box bag in the room, they would not have moved it unsecured out by the sink.
Yeah, I
But
don't think it would just be sitting there.
yeah, but once again, we also know that the Dayline stated that Dana was going up the stairs and ran down the stairs. Could she have been putting that Jack in the Box bag in the trash? I mean, we don't know. So,
Well, I mean, the DoorDash driver saw Xana in the window, so we do know that she was looking for the DoorDash driver.
where did we hear that at?
Oh, never mind.
I heard the same thing, but I want to know if you heard it the same place I heard it.
Probably.
Is it that other show?
Yeah.
The Salty Mofo show? Is that the show you heard it
Yeah, they
from?
some salty mofos over there.
Okay, just making sure. Maybe she was eating in the kitchen. That's a good thought. That's a good thought. See, I didn't have all you guys in the chat when I was doing that live way back when, and I'll never find it. If I go back into my library, I'll never find it. So, that's why I'm talking about it right now. I have always had a hard time with the question. I just don't know if that bag is or not. That's an equal good thought right there. I like that, Serious. The kitchen was filthy. I doubt she would eat in there. That nasty drink is from Starbucks. It looks like somebody poured beer in that Starbucks cup, honestly. I used to drink a lot of beer, so I know the
Well, they
foaminess.
probably needed a red solo cup to play beer pong with, so they probably just poured the beer out.
Yeah, Sirius is one of those salty mofos.
Yep.
We're glad to have her. We're so glad to have her. Girl, she was living in that house, so why
And
not
that's
in the
another
kitchen?
thing that is one of those things that I say that people forget when they tore down that house. That's not only the place that those kids died in, it's the place where they lived. It's the place where
Right,
they had fun. It's the place they had friends. It's the place they had a life.
right,
Their memories were there.
right. And I believe that all the pictures and everything that we've seen, those were just frozen in time forever.
Yep.
They will never be any more shots of any of those that perished that night.
No, just like David. David's forever 32.
Maybe it's just me. I can't even cook in a messy or dirty kitchen. Nope.
Oh,
I can't.
my kids knew growing up, you want to sit down and watch a movie with mama, you better make sure the living room's clean. Because I'm not sitting in a dirty living room watching a movie.
So y'all make sure all your oven area, your burners and all that is pristine.
Especially if
Yeah.
you're going to invite people over to eat.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think they cared, honestly.
No, they were college kids.
Right. Got to put yourself in that 20-something mindset, though. That's true. I think she could have eaten or been getting ready to eat in the kitchen, especially if Ethan was sleeping. Why turn the light on or eat in the dark? She says, gross. I think at the age, most college, yeah. Hey, Kel, welcome. You know, at that age, you'll eat pizza that's been left out for days.
Hell yeah.
You'll eat pizza that's been left in the refrigerator for weeks. As long as it doesn't have anything green on it, you'll tear that bad boy up.
And if it does have something green on it, you just convince yourself that it's a mushroom or an olive.
Yeah, pretty much. But this bag is an interesting topic, and if I ever find that video, I'll be sure to play it for you guys. But there's a lot of these pictures that that really, if you look at them, they really get to you. You know, I was impressed with Tommy Jude the other day. He made a memorial video for the four, and my hat's off to Tommy because I mean, what he said after the video was very touching, and if he really felt that way, you know, people can change. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen it, Nina, but it's pretty touching. Here's a
Oh,
question.
I can tell you that probably definitely I have not.
It said, "Do you guys think that Xana and Ethan ordered pizza earlier in the evening, and then she ordered Jack in the Crack 4 to 6 hours later?" I don't. The only person I've ever heard about the pizza was the mama. I have never heard anybody else talk about the pizza, so in my mind, I would say that they just ordered the Jack in the Box. And you know, the Jack in the Crack, since we're talking about Jumbo Jack in the Crack, I used to love Jumbo Jacks and the tacos from there. You know?
I had never heard of one until I went through Texas.
Yeah. Jack in the Box is the bomb, especially, you know, those tacos, the Jack and Jumbo Jacks, you know, I started a new job one time and I had probably enough money to make it through the week until I got paid, right? I ate 2 Jumbo Jacks every day for lunch the whole week. That's all I ate.
Oh, wow.
Just to make it to payday.
They
Just to
have
have
some
enough.
great milkshakes, though.
Yes, they do. You know, to be able to make it to payday, I was doing what I had to do in order to get there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Everybody else was eating fancy lunches at this outpatient I was working at, and I was sneaking off to Jack in the Crack. Wasn't the story about the pizza also they were just staying in watching the movie also a lie? It happened. I didn't tell my parents what I was doing on the weekends. I mean, wasn't her dad and sister just with her hours later?
Well, I know that WSU had their parents' weekend that weekend.
Yeah, so the dad and the sister were there, and didn't Jasmine turn around after she heard the news or something like that? Or am I
Well,
wrong?
see, one of the stories is that he was concerned about Xana and he was going to go over there, and that she stopped him because he had been drinking.
Mm-hmm.
And now
Okay.
that's just a story. That's not anything that I can confirm.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. That makes sense.
And
But
okay,
Jazz,
he had left WSU and was heading back to Arizona when Xana got the call. Not Xana, shit.
Jasmine.
Yeah, when Jasmine got the call, and she had to call him and tell him to turn around.
Okay. So you're right. So she'd been drinking and said, "Nah, don't come over. Pizza
Right.
and chill." You're right. There wasn't much chilling going on, I'm sure. That's why Ethan was passed out, I believe. You know what I mean? I believe they did some stuff before she ordered DoorDash, probably a little hungry afterwards. Ethan passed out. She went down to get the DoorDash.
Well, now I do know that their toxicology reports were clean.
Well, I'm talking about them having sex.
Oh, sorry.
I don't know why I'm censoring my own channel. I say worse, and all of a sudden I'm getting all, well,
I thought
they
you was
did this.
talking about the green leafy stuff.
No, I'm on censoring my own channel. Well, they did this stuff. You know, yeah, they had sex, and um, he passed
Yeah,
out.
of course, the male would be rolled over asleep.
Not in a wet spot. I know. I don't know why I'm freaking censoring my channel all of a sudden. That was the last time I'm like, they were doing the stuff.
Yeah, the stuff. So I thought you meant green leafy vegetables.
I guess I'm hard-hearted, but the things he has said and allowed to be said on this channel is horrible concerning this case, unless he publicly apologizes. I cannot think any good. I agree with you. I mean, I
Man,
agree with
screw
you.
him.
Me too. I mean, I just saw that and I was like, I wonder if he's being legit. I mean, kind of like people accuse the 911 call of them fake crying. Tommy could have been fake crying for all we know.
Thank
Hopefully
you.
not. Hopefully not. But people accuse the other people of fake crying and fake acting.
Why he gonna come out now and care? Oh, let's see.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
I
Denise
mean,
says that.
some of the things that have been said about them, and then you want to put out a memory video.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just saying that I saw it, and
Well, you're a little nicer than me.
sometimes, Nina, sometimes. In reality, none of these other creators, only the ones that I intertwine with, all the other ones, I really have nothing for them because they have such bitterness and anger in their heart. They just don't want to be on this camera and think that they want their viewers to see any kind of caring emotional attachment. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, yes, I know exactly what you're saying.
It is what it is. I saw something the other day, as since we're talking about this, and I'm not talking about anybody on YouTube, all right, but this video was talking about how creators, they start to morph into that online personality that they present to the world, and they forget about who they really are as a person off the camera. So this was talking about the two creators that one creator that shot that other one in Las Vegas.
Yes, yes.
They morphed into their characters so much that they weren't even real people to themselves off camera.
Right.
So it cost two people their lives because of that. because they were playing a role where the role ended
And
up in,
possibly a third because they're going for the death penalty.
yeah, exactly. Well, now the chat's going. Boy, now it's going.
Not much happened with the guy that supposedly knew Brian. Oh, don't get me started on that dude.
Oh, I knew better than that. I knew better than that. That one didn't age well, did it?
No, but I'm going to tell you right now, Mr. Gage, if you wait two and
Yeah.
a half years to defend me, you are not my friend. I mean, don't show up and defend me almost 3 years later.
That could have been Dave, for all we know, right?
But that, yeah, I mean,
We've never seen Dave's face before.
and the thing about it is these people were, did my little short that I did, We Need a Hero.
Yeah.
Where your hero at now?
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna get this show going
I
into a
know.
negative direction. I just you know,
You know,
we're gonna
if
look
you know,
back on
if you know, you know.
we're gonna look back on all this time and we're gonna be like, okay.
Okay, if you
We're
know, you
gonna be
know.
like, okay, we know that wasn't real. You're right, Mountain Mama. I didn't believe that dude was legit one bit. Not one bit. Yeah, Bullets. You're right. I mean, why would you do a video in your grandmama's house with all her knickknacks and all that stuff, talking about you don't like all these people because they're short and fat and this and that and the other?
But you want me to tell you, look, y'all, he was really smart in it though.
What?
Because if you'll notice his second channel, he has been following this case ever since the beginning. He's got little shorts saying that Christy sent them to him. So he wasn't new to it. He's been following it since the beginning on his other channel.
Okay.
And, that's the thing about it is he was smart in the way he did it because he knew to come out and firmly pick a side and go with that kind of division and that kind of hate. And he got 1,200 subs within like 2 weeks. So now he can go over with his 1,200 subs to a category that he does like and monetize and do whatever he wants because his platform's built.
Right.
And he built it off of the Idaho 4.
Firefly said he never said a single thing about BK, and you're right. You're right. He has been following this case.
Yes. Look up Y2Y66.
I've been following this case since 11/11/22. What?
Exactly. I was following it before they even called 911. What you talking about?
Right, exactly. Exactly. None of these people who claim to know him there's only one person I've seen, that girl from TikTok that has actual pictures of her with Brian. All the other people that say this and that about Brian, unless you have a photo of you hugging Brian that's not photoshopped, it didn't happen. And people are going to attack me for that, but I don't care. And thank you so much, Bullets. One more time, thank you.
Yes, Dolphin. He has a second channel, and it's Y2Y66, and then the name is Justice.
Oh, and he's always in somebody else's chat, right?
Yes.
Come on, Twizzle knows Brian. He even went to the trial. That's a good thought right there. Twizzle has street cred. He's actually been to the trial. Have you seen Willie in the trial? And no shade on Willie. But honestly, these people that state They know of no and no. That's 6 degrees of separation. I mean, come on. Nina and I could say we know Brian. She could say she knows Melissa Koberger because she's been doing research on her.
Hell yeah. Me and
So,
Melissa, we had lunch the other day.
not birthing hips girl, the one that took him to go get heroin and didn't know
Yeah,
that she was sick. Yeah,
Casey Orange.
Yeah, Casey. You know, yeah, so AR knows him now. He's been at the trial. So, I mean, they were closer to Brian than any of us, right?
Yeah, they were within 20 feet of him.
Right. We could all say we know someone 10
But
years
that's
ago.
all right now. Vivian went to the trial too, so who knows him more?
Oh, no, we're not starting that argument. But this is a good statement right here. We can say we know someone 10 years ago, but that doesn't mean that we know them current day. That's a good
Exactly.
statement. Like, I didn't know you 10 years ago, but I know you now. So does that mean that's the same person 10 years ago that you are today?
But I guarantee you that if you ask them, they will tell you that the person he was 10 years ago, it does not surprise them that he's where he's sitting.
I've been to a hearing, but I don't know Brian. Don't care to either. I can't with that crowd. Jeff is spreading grapes right now. AR said he spoke to BK on the phone.
La 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 la.
I don't know. Only think the family knows the real truth.
What family?
So, if you know Melissa Koberger, what's she like, Dina?
She's as crazy as he is.
Do you think the apple doesn't far from the tree?
Hell, they all some low hanging fruit.
Yes, he talked to him on the phone while he's been in jail. Oh, interesting. I never heard that till Brian. Jeff just said that. Brian's family about who he really was. You know, we've heard so much stuff in this case for these 2.5 years. It's hard to keep it all straight. It really is. I said that on Jules, and she told me I was ignorant and mental. I needed a minute to get over what nutcase thinks of me. Wow. I think he has spoken to every criminal and been on every jail in the U.S. AR has said that publicly. Okay. Are there any pics of the mother of Brian? Have you ever seen any pics on the mother of Brian or brother Brian's mom, Nina?
No. Look, let me tell you, his cousin died. His cousin in Las Vegas died. Okay. So I'm reading the obituary.
Are we
And
talking
it
about
says,
Brian?
yes.
Okay.
So Brian's cousin died in Las Vegas.
Okay.
In the obituary, it says that, Michael and, oh my gosh, what's Mama Koberger's name? Marianne. Michael and Marianne, right? And then it says Melissa and Amanda. They ain't no Mr. Brian Koberger listed anywhere.
Wonder why.
Don't you though?
What's your theory?
They don't. No, I mean, they is something wrong when you can't even be put in an obituary. If your name cannot be put in an obituary, you may have a problem.
Do you think he was, they were kind of shunning him at that point? When was this? When did that cousin die?
Let's see. See if I can find the obituary.
Okay. But that's
It's just
interesting. I know you sent it to me. I know I got it somewhere.
if I have it, I've sent it to you.
Yeah. I agree with that statement, Firefly. I really do. And I've always wondered what causes a person to be that upset all the time and to be yelling in the mic as you're trying to make a point. That never seemed to me as anything other than for drama. You know what I mean? It's like if I get on here and I'm yelling into the mic, then I'm doing it for dramatical fashion, not for any other reason. You know? I agree. I agree with that. And I left a comment one time on that channel and she went off on me. I don't believe she likes to be told anything. And a lot of people don't. I mean, nobody likes another adult to tell them anything. I mean, that's perfectly normal, but I mean, if you're trying to be nice and say, "Hey, maybe if you lighten up a little bit, people wouldn't attack you as much." You know what I mean? That is bad energy. You're right. Have you found it?
I'm a looking, y'all. I have to go through years of research, but I know where it is, so I'm going right to it.
I think Pavarotti will spin it that he knew BK was guilty. He was just playing devil's advocate. He knows everything. Just ask him.
Oh hell, Pavioli's having to go away from his own narrative now because it's not working out.
I mean, how can you spin it that, there's many people that said, well, I got to find more evidence. Well, that's an easy cop out, right? If he ends up being guilty, you can say, well, I didn't feel they had enough to convict, but I guess they did have enough to make him guilty. That just gives you a way out. The killers and the victims know what happened. Well, the victims are dead, so that was
Okay,
before the arrest. So why would they all mention his
where do you
name?
want me to send this?
Okay, 12:30:22 is what Denise says. Why would they
What?
mention his name? Denise says 12:30:22. That is before the arrest. So why would they not mention his name?
Yeah, because this guy died in 2020.
Just read it, Dina.
Oh,
Just
okay.
read it. You don't have
Okay,
to
it
send it.
says Brandon Lewis Ebersol, October the 22nd, 1995 to January the 8th, 2020. La la la, let's see. He will be greatly missed by his parents, Randall and Cheryl Ebersol, his siblings, Matthew Hammock, Jonathan Ebersol, Christopher Ebersol, and Randall Ebersol. Remember the four brothers?
Right.
Okay, well, there's three now. He graduated from Liberty High School in 2014. He attended Southern Nevada Community College, then transferred to UNLV, studying physical therapy. He worked as an associate of Speedy Mark. Let's see. Oh, Brandon received the U.S. and world record on January 11th, 2019 for drug-free U.S. powerlifting, 666.9 pounds.
Damn.
Alongside his world record, he received many medals, including ones from Amateur Athletic Union Championship. In 2020, he did it for 710 pounds. Video gaming, symphonies, alternative music, violin, cello, blah 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 blah. His favorite meal was his mom's homemade spaghetti and meatballs. My gosh, Brandon
Bleh.
is survived. Brandon is survived by his parents, Randall and Cheryl Ebersol, grandparents, Randall and Gloria Ebersol, Henrietta Kathy Bettino, siblings, Jonathan Ebersol, Matthew Hammock, Christopher Ebersol, Randall Ebersol, cousins, Renee, Jennifer, Sean, Amanda, Jessica, Anthony, Corey, Melissa, Robbie, Scotty, Maddie, and Eric. Aunts and uncles, Michael and Marianne. Where Brian Koberger name?
I don't know. That's interesting. You believe that they forgot? They just forgot to put him in there?
Well, here's what I think's really odd. Since we're on the subject of Las Vegas,
Okay.
what I think is odd is that Cheryl Ebersol is the aunt that came out talking about that he would not eat out of the pots and pans that had meat cooked in them. Okay. Now, do you know how she found out about him being arrested?
No.
I have a brother that doesn't really care for me. Okay.
Okay.
But I can guarantee you that if my son was arrested for a quadruple murder, he would hear it from me, not from the news.
Right.
They found out about it from the news. So just how close is this family?
That's a great point. That is a great point. You know, I can't disagree with that at all, Nina.
I mean, do
Why
you
would
have a
you?
brother?
Why?
Do you have a brother or sister?
I do have siblings. I do.
Okay, if you have siblings and one of your kids was accused of this, would they hear it from the news or from you?
Hopefully, they'd hear from me.
Thank you. Isn't that what typical family? Oh my God, Joe, do you know what they've accused blah 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 of? I mean, and you'd be crying or whatever. Instead, she hears it on national news.
I know that's it. That's interesting. I mean, we don't know how close or not close this family is. It seems like they're not really. I mean, based on what I've read about Michael and his siblings, is they don't get along, right? They've never really gotten along. That's
Right.
why they
And
moved
and
to
God knows
Pennsylvania.
the mama's a ghost.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for that, Kel. That's awesome. Thank you. Um, so that's what I've always heard is they don't get along. So what's what's up with that?
And I mean, don't get me wrong, I know there's families that don't get along, but
Right,
y'all can
right.
tell by that obituary that that's a big family. That's a lot of cousins and a lot of aunt and uncles.
I don't know. I don't really know. But that's interesting they didn't put his name in the obit. I
In
mean, is that
2020,
because we could speculate all night, and but the reason could be that, maybe he had a falling out with that side of the family, you know?
and maybe that's the reason for the whole family fallout.
Yeah.
I mean, because you
Could-
know how parents are. A lot of parents, blood's thicker than water.
Right.
It doesn't matter what your kid does, your kid's always right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of parents like that. And if you go against their kid, you go against them.
Exactly. And that could have been the whole reason. I'm done with this philological shit. So tell me, um, I got a confession to make to you.
Oh, hell.
I got a confession, Father.
What were you mad at me about?
No, oh Father, I have sinned.
Oh, God.
I'm not making fun of the Catholic religion,
Have
but
you cheated on me?
no, I left a comment on your video the other night about it being a great live.
And you didn't
And
think so.
no, that was the live that all hell broke loose. And
Oh,
to be honest, I didn't get that far. I got, the very beginning. I was like, man, this is pretty good, and it was going good, good, good. And then all of a sudden, I guess once I quit watching, people came on panel, everything. The Jerry Springer effect kicked in. Everything went to shit as
in a
far as what I heard.
handbasket, in a complete handbasket, it went south.
Yeah, so I, I was asked about that. They're like, "You thought that was a great live?" And I was like, "Well, you didn't watch it, did you?" Yes, I did watch it. I just didn't watch all of it.
It really hurt my feelings, though, that because it was a good live.
Yeah,
It was a
it,
very good live.
It started great. It started great. I was like, man, this is going to be interesting. She was talking about, well, go ahead and describe it. You know, it was your life. Go ahead and tell the,
Oh, well, I mean, I'm
yeah,
gonna be honest with you. I mean, Sirius and Mountain Mama are in here, and they can tell you I was in complete shock as to what was going on. Because the
so,
next thing I know, I'm talking about Demetrius and Emma, and talking about the Narcan and the overdose and stuff like that. And the next thing I'm told is that I need to look at chat because I'm getting accused of saying Idaho 4 was selling drugs. And I'm like, what? What? Anybody that knows me knows I would never say any of those kids were selling drugs. And so then the next thing I know is, well, Sirius said it. Sirius, what are you serious? I don't believe that Sirius said that. And
see,
then it goes
I didn't get to that part. I didn't get to
And then
that.
it goes through there, and Mountain Mama says, well, I think I might have started this. And then somebody else says, no, I think I might have started this. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so lost. And then the next thing I know, Sirius says, well, CJ, you can just fuck right off. And I'm like, what? Somebody done pissed Sirius off. Seriously.
Yeah, I've never heard her say anything like that. But that, I mean, everybody has their limits. You know what I mean?
And so then, CJ says something and calls Sirius a he. And I'm like, no, Sirius is a she. She's a good friend. And Sirius would never disrespect somebody. And, I'm like, oh my God, what the hell has just happened?
Right, right. And then two lives later, and then it comes into my chat, and I'm like, they were discussing a little bit, and it was, it was cordial. And I thought, what the hell? I was asleep when all this was going on.
Hell, I must have been.
Jerry. I mean, good God.
I mean, I am so serious. I mean,
Oh
uh,
my
you know,
God.
hell, I ended the live and I was apologizing to everybody. And I mean, and I was totally lost.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to say it right now. I don't believe drugs were involved other than the ingestion of recreational drugs. If they were doing drugs in that house, it was due to people partying and leaving with their drugs. I don't, I don't believe in them stashing drugs, they running drugs, any of that BS. I don't believe it. And I'm going to stick with that,
I
you
mean,
know?
Mountain Mama just said, I was so upset. It truly was just a misunderstanding. And
Yeah.
I really do believe that. I think that what happened was Cuff You looked down about the time something was said. And I'll be honest with you, the guy that called me and you out and we chose not to. Okay.
Yeah.
See, that's sort of kind of what happened on his that night was me and Rock Chalk were having a conversation that didn't concern him. And about the time that I said, well, look at him up there. He don't know what he's talking what he don't know what we're talking about or something like that. And he thought I meant that he didn't know what he was talking about as far as the case goes. And so he ran with that.
Right.
He never did stop and understand that it was us having a conversation outside of what he was talking about.
And you do have to monitor the chat like that. You do have to scroll up, which sometimes I don't. And I've done that myself. I'm like, okay, that's not what we're going on, blah, blah, blah. And to
And
be Leslie, Texas sent me a text earlier. We already struck those 3 nuclear sites. We're not at war. They made it home safe. Everything good. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
It's
and I
over
think
with.
that's exactly what happened was that maybe conversations were taking place that did not just pertain to something I said. And then Cuff You looked down and thought that it was saying that I said something. And I think it was just confusion.
Of course, it happens. It happens. I mean,
And
I
I mean,
jumped.
God knows if I've got more than 3 people in there, I can't keep up with chat. So, I mean,
I can imagine, Nina. I can imagine, especially if somebody's watching the chat and they're kind of not certain of what the chat is talking about, and they misinterpret spelling or words or whatever. I mean, there's been numerous people come in here and they drop a sentence with an exclamation point, and that's almost like you type that all in caps and an exclamation. That's like yelling. You know what I mean? That's how it's always been perceived. So, but I'm glad. I'm glad that
So
hopefully
what's your confession to me?
do
That you
what?
bailed on my live?
What are you talking about?
Because you said, okay, I've got a confession to make to you.
Oh, that I only made it halfway through. I didn't get through the juicy part, but I did put it was an awesome live, you know?
I figured when you did that, I didn't know if you was being facetious or.
No, no. And you do need mods, Nina. You can add mods on any of the lives that you've done. I don't know how they do it on Restream, but usually they have three little buttons next to their name, and a menu will pop up, and it says add as moderator, blah blah blah, and you can add as many as you want.
Yeah, see, read Bullet's comment. They fall asleep on my lives.
See, you got another person. I will moderate for you anytime. Trump
That's so
moderates
funny.
fall asleep on Nina's late night. She go. What time she go? Like midnight,
Yeah.
1 o'clock. She is that late night host. She is the
And
late
see,
night. She's like the. She's like the. She's even past the Conan O'Brien. She's past him like two shows past him. You know what I'm talking about, Nina? There's the Late Show with Jimmy Kimmel, and then there's like
right.
another Late Show, Conan O'Brien, and it goes on and on and on. You're like the second or third Late Show.
Yeah, and I mean, I was trying. As a matter of fact, that night I think I had gone on a little early. Because I was trying to move up a little bit because I feel like I'm learning, so I'm going to eventually make it to prime time.
So
And if things keep going like they did the other night, I'm staying late night.
you got another offer. If you weren't on so late, I'd mod for you, but I fall asleep. We
But
got
see,
some
that's
people.
what happened. That the night of that live is when I was supposed to have about the traumatic injury, and it went into another subject, but I was okay with it because it was a good live.
Right. Now,
And
Mala,
so,
I'm sure Nina is okay with you in every way,
oh
shape, or
hell
form.
yeah,
You know.
y'all hang on, my dog is all tangled up in my wire. Hang on. Oh yeah. I mean, I was apologizing to everybody else. I mean, they did nothing wrong.
Right.
I
I'm
mean,
on I'm on doggy duty, and you know what the little puppy's doing? She's been asleep since I've been live on the bed. Her name's Cricket.
aw,
Yeah, she looks like Benji. Leslie's letting us know what's going on in the world while we're out here stuck in Coburger land. She's telling us that Trump just said he completely wiped out 3 nuclear sites, no survivors.
I didn't know Trump went and fought.
When are we going to see that pup giving you kisses? Well, you know what? That pup was giving me kisses last night on the video live that I did, but I got copyrighted for some stupid reason on that live. So
What?
I had to delete it. I've done that live before, so it was a live of a live. They never copyrighted me before, but they copyrighted me last night. So, yeah, you're right, Dolphin. You're right. I will get a pic. Let me send y'all a pic of Cricket. I do have pics.
So this is your dog?
No, it's my mom and dad's dog.
Oh, I started to say because I thought you didn't like that dog.
They're on vacation.
I thought you didn't like that dog.
No, this is a different dog.
Oh, okay.
I love this dog. This dog is sweet. I have her watching the doggy channel. She's been watching she's been watching the doggy channel every day. She just sits there and watches it with her little stuffed animals and stuff.
But I will tell anybody too that being in the driver's seat, you get a whole new respect. I mean, because it's real easy for me to sit up here and say, "Hey, Gage, can you share this? Can you share that?" Not realizing what it takes to really share that,
Well, thank you for that.
especially if you haven't uploaded it before. You know what I'm saying? And
So
see, like
you
on Restream, I can upload up to 5 videos and 25 pictures.
so what you're saying is you have a respect for what I do over
I have
here?
a whole new respect. I already respected creators for it, but let me tell you, after being in the driver's seat, I have a whole new respect.
See, that's Cricket watching the doggy channel.
Oh my God.
You see her? She just
I see her.
I'm putting it on the screen. It's on the screen right now. Now, Leslie, don't get self-righteous now. The world isn't screwed. They're just a bunch of things that need to be cleaned up after the last 4 years. I mean, the last 4 years were very, everything went. You know what I mean? So, our president trying to clean it up. See, she's there, just chilling on my bed with her baby, her dog. There's her kennel. There's the YouTube TV. I think she is a Yorkie. I think she is. She needs a haircut. Bullet says, "Oh my goodness, I need to put that channel on for my kids." Hey, they sit there and they played piano music to all kinds of stuff. Okay, I'm gonna put Nina's doggy on the panel.
That's my 17-year-old.
Let me take her off the screen.
See him?
Oh,
He's 17.
what's your doggy's name?
Then that's little girl dog. Can y'all see her?
Oh,
Then that's Snooky.
good
And then
lord.
down here in the floor is my big one.
Good grief.
This is my baby here.
What's his name? Her name?
Her name is Dabby, and she is Great Pyrenees and Husky.
Yeah, you do get Benji vibes from Cricket. You're right. She is long haired. I feel so bad for her, like in this Texas heat. But I
Yeah,
might,
that's like Dabby. She's double coated.
you know. Oh, Mountain Mama has a Yorkie. They're wonderful babies. Yeah, she is so far. I mean, she just chill. No, she runs and jumps on that bed.
Well,
She's a year old, so she has all that young dog energy. You know what I mean?
oh yeah, I was looking at some videos the other day from 3 years ago, and the difference in Moo from 3 years ago. I mean, he said, well, he'll be 18 in October,
Oh my
and
goodness!
yeah, October the 28th, my baby will be 18 years old,
Wow.
and he has been in my chest for 18 years.
That's the
I
one that
mean,
was having health issues a while back,
yeah,
right?
he's having seizures and he's completely blind. And I find myself laughing sometimes because he'll get stuck in a corner, and it's not funny, but it is funny.
It's not funny, but I'm gonna laugh about it. Damn it. Warning
Oh,
label Nina.
wait a
She
minute.
was talking about your large dog on the floor. Do you have steps for her?
To get on the bed? Heck no. She just steps up.
I have a miniature husky called the Alaxan Clique and two English creamers.
How do I like having more than one dog? Well, I put it to you this way: Moo and little girl dog, because little girl dog's 15. And so Moo and little girl dog, they're like in a convalescent home.
Yeah.
And then you've got Snooky and Dabby. Snooky is 4 and Dabby's 3. And they're like, we don't want to go to the old folks' home. We want to go out and play, you know. And I've always
Yeah.
said that you shouldn't have more dogs than you should hands.
Yeah. You know, I borrowed a leash, you know, the retractable one where you can push that button if she starts to run too far.
Yes.
I have one of those. I bought it from my nephew, and we used that today when we went for a walk. And she's a rescue, so she's been trained, you know, to leash walk and all that stuff. And she was she was awesome. Like she will not run ahead of you. She walks right next to you. She will wait on you to come up, you know, because my parents are older, and she did not walk in front of my mom and pull her or anything like that. Hey, Lean,
Hey, Lean,
yeah,
I'm gonna be on panel with Lean.
are you?
Hmm.
I had big and little. One is 70, and the other was 15. Guess which
Well,
one?
now I do have to say that Snooky, she has sort of turned out to be sort of like their caretaker. Like when they go outside and stuff,
Yeah.
she'll walk with them and make sure because they're both blind, and so she'll go outside and walk with them, and so they sort of follow her scent and everything. But now Dabby, I'm just now getting Dabby because see, Dabby was bought for my granddaughter because my granddaughter's had 3 open heart surgeries, and she was going to be like her therapy dog or whatever. Yeah, Nina ended up with her. And even though she's 100 pounds, she's scared of the little ones. And so I'm
Didn't-
trying to integrate them, trying to get them to where they'll come together. But she comes in and she's like, "Are y'all going to allow me in here? Or y'all going to jump on me?"
Isn't that something about the smaller dogs? Boy, they have that big dog mentality, don't they?
Honey, Moo Moo, let me tell you, my daughter's emotional support dog is a red-nosed pit. And Rammy is the most docile dog I have ever seen in my life. And so he's coming out of the bathroom one day, and Moo Moo I don't know, somehow he got out of my room and he runs right into the back of Rammy. And Rammy, being the pit bull or the red nosed pit, I was thinking, oh my God, honey, Moo Moo attacked him and he sort of nudged him with his nose, like, okay, old man, move away. And I'm trying to get Moo Moo and he's biting him. And so finally Rammy takes him and he puts his mouth around his throat. And that's what pit bulls are known for.
Right,
And I
right.
thought, my God, Moo Moo's a goner. I mean, and so we got Moo. He never clamped down though. When we got finished, Moo Moo was in shock. And when we got them apart, Moo Moo had one little spot on his leg, and that was where we put him apart. And his tooth got him. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
But
right.
he never did clamp down.
You
It
know
was
what's
just sort of,
interesting? You know what's interesting about this little dog? She'll go and act like she's burying something on the bed. Like she'll sit there
yeah, yeah.
and like she's burying something. I've never seen that before.
Oh my gosh. Little girl dog one day, we gave them a T-bone steak bone apiece. And little girl dog hid hers like that. And she didn't realize that Moo Moo sat there for 30 minutes watching her bury that thing. And as soon as she turned her back, he went and grabbed it.
Oh man.
I felt so
Yeah,
bad because I was like, she worked so hard hiding that.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I mean, got up last night at 2 in the morning to do doggy duty. I was like, what the hell am I doing up at 2 in the morning?
Oh yeah. And believe me, when the old age hits, I mean, both of these are in diapers. I mean, they're and I don't know. I mean, a lot of times I'm like, am I being right to them? But they still have that quality of life. They still
Yeah,
love. They still go outside. They still, I can't see putting them down just because they're old.
right, right. I can see why individuals love their animals so much because I mean they're such great companions, you know?
I mean, look at this.
You ought to do a channel on your dogs, Nina. I mean,
Can y'all see him? Look at him.
you know,
He he stays right there with me. And then there's the little dog.
Wow.
I love my babies.
Which one's the one that snores? Is that the one that's right next
Oh
to
my
you?
gosh, that's Gabby. I was so
Okay.
embarrassed one night. It was like, but she weighs 100 pounds. So when she snores, it's like a guy. I mean, it's like a person snoring.
Right, exactly. Because I remember you talking about that one night. You're
Yeah, I
like,
was like, if y'all
"Hey,
hear
sorry
funny
about
noises,
my
it's my dog.
yeah, it's my dog snoring. Don't pay any
Don't think
attention."
it's my stomach.
I was like, "Dang, she got a man over? What? Or, Nina got a man over tonight." Oh man,
Doing that green stuff like you was talking about.
yeah, exactly.
Well, I think I'm gonna go. I've got some videos to upload for tonight's live.
Okay. Well, I
Tonight.
appreciate you coming up and spending time with us. I mean,
Oh no,
everybody.
I always jump on here. I mean, I've been scarce for a while, but I've been
Yeah.
trying to learn how to do this, and
Well, I can't help you because I don't do restream, but hopefully somebody that does restream can, kind of guide you to different directions that you need to go. I mean,
well, see, here's what I learned: is with Restream, you can let your guests share stuff.
hmm
So it's like, hey, can you share this?
yeah. Good.
But tonight I'll be up there by myself.
If I have any constructive criticism for you, Nina, it'd be just relax. The
Yeah, see,
crowd,
that's my
the
problem.
crowd, the crowd is either going to stay the whole 3 hours or they're going to leave in 2 minutes. You can't have control over that. You know what I mean? So
I know, but I know that you've
don't
seen
be
me up
so hard.
there.
Don't
You've
be
seen
so
me up
hard
there
on.
panicking.
Yeah, don't be so hard on yourself whenever you notice that people are probably going to check out other chats for a second. They'll be back. If not, it's not for them. Just
Well, I mean, I start panicking like when I can't get it right.
yeah, yeah.
I don't give myself the same grace that I give others.
That's true. You just need to. I mean, right now, I'm not doing anything that you're not doing. I mean, you're speaking, you're leading the show as well. That's why I said earlier, give me your feedback on that article that I was reading. I mean, it's the same thing. You're in control. You're in the driver's seat. Just tell your audience, hey, I'll be right back. Chill out. Play a song. Whatever you got to do. I mean, people are gonna stay. It's pretty
Oh,
much the
I
same
hate
people
that.
that. It's pretty
See
much
that
the same
dead
people that.
air though. That dead air drives me crazy.
Yeah, I mean, but it's only you thinking that because they're still chatting. They're not really focusing on the fact that you aren't presenting anything. You get what I'm saying? It's like
Right.
um they're out in the audience watching the show. They're chatting amongst each other. The show comes back on, the projector or whatever you're showing, and okay, all eyes on the show now. It just don't be so hard on yourself. Don't say you're gonna, that. I mean, I've noticed that on your lives, and if I can give you some constructive criticism, just be more positive to yourself, and you'll be all right. And if you're not ready for the live, do the uploads because those are almost always on point. No distractions, no nothing
Right.
until you get comfortable with it. You know what I mean?
Right. Somebody asked what tonight's live is about. Tonight's live is actually going to be something that's unusual for me because it's really serious and it's about the changes that trauma does to your brain.
So you got a
And
comment says Suzanne says she listened to Nina, but don't often go into the chat when it's live. Love you guys.
oh, thank
Well,
you.
we care about you too, Suzanne. Thank you for that.
But see, I didn't know that bullying changes your brain too.
Yeah.
So, you take all that and I mean, trauma and bullying and verbal abuse, it doesn't have to be physical. All that stuff changes, your brain and stuff like that. And I was thinking along the lines of like the DoorDash driver and stuff like that, because nobody can say that how she was acting was due to drugs.
Well, we don't know what we don't really know what point of reference she was in at that time.
Right.
If she was, if she was if she was in the present, if she was trying to, if she was in fight or flight, we don't know what point of reference she was in, so can't really assume that she was either on drugs, off drugs. I mean, because people act the same off drugs sometimes as they do on drugs.
Right.
I've swore that some people have been on drugs that were clean and sober. I don't believe
Hell,
she
there's
was,
been times I've been asked if I was.
I don't believe that she was a junkie or any of that crap. But as far as the pain pills and all that, I mean, if she was on pain pills, she was on pain pills regardless.
Right.
So I'll let you get over to your show, and
Thank y'all so much. Thank you.
thank you for that. I think I'm about to call it a night because this little doggy wears me out.
Oh my Lord.
She does, going up and down, running around, and over the hills and through the woods, all that. But you have an awesome show, okay?
All righty.
You
Y'all
guys,
come see me.
you guys go check out Nina if you're up. Give her a like. Those of you that came over here from Nina's um, streaming right now, thank you for being here. Thank you for your kindness. All the people that came in and chatted tonight, thank you for your kindness and ability to be adults in here. Even if we talk about moose knuckles, it's we always enjoy the conversation with everybody, and it is adult humor sometimes, so it's not for everybody, but everybody knows by now what type of chat we have. So spread the word, continue getting good people in here, and we'll continue to grow. Thank you
That's
so
right.
much. Thank you so much, community, and I will see you soon. Head to Nina's after the show. Let the maestro cue that music. Y'all be safe tonight. Take care of your loved ones. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you soon. I can't find the outro. There it is.